Well, maybe we start off, Ed closes the deal last week. Just kind of as you watched the film, what'd you like best about Ed's game this past week?
The energy, tremendous energy as a rusher. It's a critical element to being able to win. And he was able to maintain his energy because wherever we are in the football game in 2 minutes, we need to be at our best as a four-man rush unit, as one-on-one rushers. So the energy was excellent. It always provides population where the ball is, and that's one of the blue traits that he has. So that was really something that stood out.
We've seen him more, I don't know if this is obvious, but in a two-point stance, obvious passing situation. I mean, you even see Myles Garrett standing over the center in a two-point stance. Is that something you've done more, or more teams are doing, you've done more this year, or not really?
Not really. Ed can function out of that stance, and that's why. And also, if we have alignment variations, front variations, hopefully that it gives the defense a little bit different look. They're not sure where Ed is going to be pre or post snap, so it just gives us a little bit of alignment variation.
How much do you feel there was a feeling out period for weeks after losing Matt and Tre'Davious and Daquan and kind of figuring out how to fit what pieces in, and do you feel you're past that point now and that's why things kind of seem stronger than ever?
Well, when you lose players of that caliber, there's definitely an adjustment, whether you want to acknowledge that or not. As coaches and players, there is an adjustment. Those are significant contributors to our defense. And so you have to all of a sudden figure out who's doing what and how the new players, the new pieces are going to function, and then how to get everybody working at the same level as we did prior to those guys not being available.
Eric, against Kansas City and Dallas, you had Greg line up inside for a couple snaps, Shaq inside as well. What do you like about that matchup, getting those athletic guys inside? Sure,
just the quickness, the short area quickness, and with Greg in particular, his length. If you're trying to affect the quick passing game with mesh concepts, crossing routes, or when an offense is trying to get the ball out of their hand via the quarterback, Greg's tough to throw over. We've seen that with him, with AJ. Those guys are tough to throw over, and hopefully you can exploit a little bit of a short area quickness advantage inside when we get the guards one-on-one.
Slater is so good, the Chargers, pretty impressive. Did you go into the game thinking we may have to do more pressures or simulated pressures? I mean, I realize a lot goes into that, the quarterback, but I mean, just the solidness of that on the outside. What do you think about that?
Well, we always go in with wanting to have balance, and with as far as the game plan is concerned, and we were able to do that. We know who the dangerous. There's certain people that we just don't want to get started, and so if we can affect them with speeding the quarterback up or with fortifying the coverage in that direction. That's what you'd like to be able to do, is to just have a little bit of balance in your game plan and affect those explosive elements with some of those things.
Yesterday, Sean said that playing time is earned when he was talking, answering a question about Von Miller. What, in your mind, is Von doing to earn that playing time?
Just working hard and continuing to work toward being in a position to get back to what we're used to seeing. Von has earned a lot of respect. He's earned a lot of leeway, and his situation is one that I'm not sure everybody is privy to with respect to him working back through the injury, tough injury, and just getting himself back into a position where he can really affect the quarterback in the way that we're used to seeing. So he's working his tail off. I'm satisfied with that, and we'll just continue to move forward with that.
Did he have a setback that you're referring to there?
Well, not so much a setback, but there are ups and downs. There are times when in the process of working your way back to an elite level or to a consistently productive level, there are going to be ebbs and flows. There are going to be setbacks with respect to him being able to depend and count on, what he can do, his body, his legs, everything, the coordination. And so I wouldn't say setbacks, but there are definitely some consistency areas that we want to try and make sure that we get to, and Von's working hard on that.
At least from the numbers, the statistics, they're not there. So how do you weigh, and I'm sure you measure production in other ways other than just baseline stats, but how do you weigh his performance and what you're getting from him versus what you might be getting from someone else on your roster?
Well, and you just mentioned it, there are things that are obvious and there are things sometimes that are just obvious to us. And as far as stats, Von has affected the game for the benefit of others with as it pertains to our rush. There have been some areas where we've been able to get the quarterback down, and he's been an integral part of that, but he didn't necessarily get credit for that. But we know what he did to affect the outcome of that play as a rusher. If for example, the other night when Poona Ford was able to sack the quarterback in the red zone, if Von is 2-3 yards up the field, it gives the quarterback a lane to escape. Von's rush technique fit that situation. It fit the launch point of the quarterback, and it was able to keep a nice tight box around the quarterback so he didn't have options to escape or extend the play. So some of those things are very, very valuable. It's not necessarily the standout splash statistical things that we're used to seeing, but it definitely gives us a chance to have positive outcomes.
Coach, I realize teams morph and change through the course of the year. Obviously, the Patriots offense has some of those, new quarterback being the most notable. Is their MO and approach on offense essentially the same from what you've been able to tell, or has he brought maybe some new preferences based on his decision-making or other things to that offense?
Well, without being I think what we're seeing from this particular quarterback is I think he's taking care of the football. I think the offense, I think they have an offensive philosophy, and I think that has persisted, and I think this young man is doing a little bit better job of taking care of the football and not giving the defense opportunities to take the ball away and some of those types of things. I don't see a lot of variation offensively, but I'm sure that there are some things with his skill set that may be unique to him. I know one thing, I know he's much more elusive, he can extend plays, and he probably runs a little bit more than what we've seen, so we have to be aware of that, and we have to make sure that he can't extend plays.
Daquan Jones getting ramped up here over the last 2 weeks. What have you seen, and then what are your expectations once he is kind of cleared to play?
Daquan looks great, and that's a culmination of a lot of hard work from the point that he became not available to us. Once we got back from London, and Daquan has been, just from a mindset standpoint, he's been looking forward. He decided at that particular point that he was going to come back and play, and what he's done away from the field has been phenomenal, along with our training staff. And so he's been out, he's been working, and he's anxious to get back out there, and I'll be excited to see him out there.
Eric, after the game the other night, Terrell Bernard was disappointed when what he called communication breakdowns and mental mistakes. If that's what you guys saw as a staff, what sort of caused those? Well,
just some of the uncertainty of via formations, just different looks that you may get, maybe unscouted looks, and when the game starts to speed up, you want to be crisp, you want to be sharp with your communication and make sure you have absolute certainty pre-snap. And I know exactly what Terrell is referring to. And I like the fact that, he's hard on himself in that way, because with that position comes a lot of responsibility in terms of communicating to the front and making sure that the back seven, that those guys are all on the same page. And he'll continue to get better with that. There have been some times where he's been outstanding, and then there were a couple of lapses the other night, and we're on top of that. He's on top of it.
As a developer of players and an evaluator of prospects, what takeaways do you have when you think of A.J. Epinez's 4 years?
That he's grown tremendously, and that speaks to his character. When A.J. and I came into this program together, my first year coincided with his, and from day one, A.J. has been not concerned with the role that he's had to play or that he's been thrust in, as much as just being extremely productive when his number is called or when he has an opportunity to go out and play. AJ is matured. He's able to acquire a lot more information pre-snap and via the situation that he finds himself in. And so there's just been a lot of growth due to time on task and a lot of his just personal investment in getting better.
Is there anything in particular from AJ you've seen off the field maybe that you feel like he's talked a lot about more confidence and feeling more comfortable? Is there anything you've seen from him and kind of that studying tape or like anything in particular off the field that you've seen him develop?
Well, I know that AJ is spending a lot of time away from the daily schedule. I know that he's made a concerted effort to invest in that way. And it's paying off. AJ, by the time we get to a certain game plan segment, AJ is already well briefed on that situation and a lot of the personnel that he's going to have to face and compete against. So what he's doing away from the schedule has really gone up. And AJ's able to go back now and to reference a lot of situations and experiences that he's had over the almost 4 years that he's been in the National Football League and in this particular situation. And his confidence is everything. And I love where he is with that. And he's put a lot of work in to make sure that his preparation feeds into that.
I know you talked about Ed and, the game he had last week, but to see him hit a goal that he had financially was helpful, but also he, for himself, he wanted to hit that. And to see the year he's put together, just as someone who's seen him grow the way you have, I guess, what is that like as a coach to see that from Ed?
Very, very, very gratifying. And I don't think Ed will mind me sharing this. Ed obviously affected the game the way that he did. And on Christmas Day, Ed he communicated to me that there's some areas that he wanted to be better in. So when you look at that, when you hear someone talk about wanting to be sharper and better in a specific area after producing the way that he did and in the manner that he did, that's really cool to see because he has an attitude of not being satisfied, but also not being surprised when he's able to affect the game in the manner that he did.
Going back to AJ, from a coaching standpoint, patience, having coaching patience with him. I mean, because obviously he's better than he was when he came in. How do you balance that? Whereas if sometimes you say to yourself, and you don't really have that many young guys, but this young guy, we gotta force feed him a little bit, because that's how he's gonna get better. What do you think about that?
Well, the process and development happens sometimes when it happens. And you, as a coach, as a facilitator, you want to affect that. You want it to happen as fast as you possibly can because we need the production, and we need it yesterday. But there is a fine line between having high expectations and understanding that development will occur organically and naturally, and also kind of pushing the player toward that or pushing the person toward that. AJ's matured. We have a great relationship. I think all of the guys respond to the process that we have, our training process. It's consistent. They understand it. There's a lot of trust there. So, and let's be honest. It isn't like this is the first year that AJ has produced sacks or splash plays. I think the rate and some of the situations that he's been able to do those things in, he's putting everything together now. His point of attack run defense, his winning one-on-one as a pass rusher, dropping into coverage. There's just a lot of detail with what he's doing, and really proud of him.
And then another thought, Greg, had another good run defense game. What do you think about the unselfish element? I mean, some guys who are obsessed with sacks, they might see them take themselves upfield and out of the play on a rundown, and you don't really see Greg doing that too much.
No. Greg, that's just not his character. Greg is going to react to the information that he's given, and Greg's he's not hunting production outside of the situation or the call or the information that he's getting. He's going to do his job, and that's the beautiful thing about him. And that's why he's been a starter here since day one, because as a rookie and even during the draft process, we saw that level of character with him. And, Greg had 8 sacks last year. He had ran into a little bit of a bump, but we played him all over the defensive line. and he's affected the game for others and for our defense and team. So Greg will have plenty of opportunities, and he'll have his double-digit moments maybe this year. You just can never count him out.